The Coalition's mandate is to form a network of employers helping other employers by sharing best practices and experiences and linking employers interested in hiring people with disabilities with the right people, organizations, and resources to do it successfully. There are a number of myths that tend to cloud the issues surrounding the hiring of individuals with disabilities. First, there's a notion that people with disabilities can't keep up with other workers. In fact, surveys show that 90% of people with disabilities rated average or better on job performance than their able colleagues.
In many cases, they haven't had a whole lot of success in the past in finding real quality employment, and they're viewing this as a chance to prove just how good they truly are. So we're finding that employee group is very, very loyal, lower levels of absenteeism, lower levels of attrition, and they are very, very dedicated and absolutely committed to doing an outstanding job.
This also belies the myth that a person with a disability is likely to miss a lot of work. In fact, 86% of people with disabilities rated average or better on attendance than their able colleagues. Another myth is that a person with a disability cannot work in a position requiring physical labor. In fact, only 10.5% of people with disabilities have severe mobility problems. There is also the myth that having a person with a disability will require changing the workplace, when in fact the vast majority of people with disabilities who are currently employed don't need any special accommodations.
But I think you have to make accommodations with everybody that you have working for you. I mean, certain people have different traits that you utilize, and ones that aren't so great that you get somebody else to to fill in there. So it's not necessarily about people with a disability. It's about finding a spot where certain people fit in.
It's a myth that accommodation costs make it too expensive to hire people with disabilities.
We have a lot of well-intentioned managers that want to do whatever they can to enable somebody to be as successful as possible. And what we quickly learned is not everyone wants support. Not everyone wants or needs help. So it's really about making sure that you understand the needs of every individual and that you're providing the right level of support.
Accommodation costs are generally very inexpensive, with 75% of them under $500 and 55% under $200. The last myth that needs to be clarified is that existing staff won't want to work with a person with a disability. In fact, diversity in the workplace only strengthens an organization's morale and team spirit.
I just enjoy being here. I enjoy the people I work with, and the people I contact here are excellent. People are just great. They're just great.
Educating employers on the reality versus the myth is the first step toward building a more inclusive workplace. There are many agencies in London and Middlesex that are devoted to helping employers hire people with disabilities, both visible and invisible. They can assist with recruiting, training, on-the-job assistance coaching, and provide advice on ergonomics and accommodation. As an employer, you can get involved in gaining knowledge and sharing knowledge about disabilities in the workplace by joining the Ability First Coalition. This group of volunteers represents a number of businesses in our community. They are responsible for the annual Ability First Conference, employer recognition programs, networking, and providing tools and resources to employers. The current members encourage employers to ask questions, provide feedback, share successes, and consider hiring people with disabilities.
Specifically within my company, being focused on an employment equity plan and with our diversity initiatives and just newly creating a diversity position within our company, again, as an improvement in having a big focus on that. And I see a lot of companies going that direction, just saying like, this is something big that we need to pay attention to and we need to focus on, and creating positions for people to manage that.
And there isn't a knowledge in the community of the great talent out there with visible and non-visible disabilities. So I think part of our job as the coalition is to make the community at large aware of the talent that's available to them.
Members of the coalition are available to meet with business organizations, service clubs, and individual businesses to share the business reasons why employers need to expand their recruiting and business strategies to include people with disabilities. This includes helping employers maintain employment relationships with individuals who develop a disability after they become employed.
Let's say you're already a person within a company and suddenly become disabled for some reason. Then I think there's lots of opportunity to include you. Perhaps your job may change or your responsibilities may change, but because you've already got a part of the company with yourself, then surely that person, if they choose to want to work, sometimes people go off on leave, but if they want to work, then there's got to be a way of keeping them in the company.
The business case for hiring people with disabilities is simple. Employers need skilled employees to fill positions that keep their businesses competitive in local, provincial, national, and global markets.
Frank has bad eyesight, and he was hit by a car when he was younger, so I've got him in a nice, repetitive job that he does well. He does faster than anybody I've ever seen, and it works well for him and it works well for me.
As the number of people entering the workforce continues to decline, employers cannot continue to ignore this untapped pool of talent.
If you look at people with disabilities in particular, depending on what numbers you believe, somewhere between 13 and 20% of the Canadian population are deemed to be people with disabilities. The really staggering figure, though, is that 1 in 2 can't find a job, and that number is just absolutely appalling.
In Canada, the spending power of persons with disabilities is now estimated to be about $25 billion. They also influence the spending decisions of friends and families, and, in doing so, at least double their economic reach. Companies that recognize the value of reflecting the characteristics of their consumers within their workplaces will reap the benefits in productivity and sales.
Hiring people with disabilities is critical to our organization. I believe it's critical to every business. Ultimately, we're trying to meet consumers' needs. We all have clients, and what better way to meet your clients' needs than to get to know them, to understand all of your clients, and the disabled are part of that group. Our staff working with the disabled have a better appreciation for what the general public is, who our customers are, and how we can better meet their needs.
The Ability First website houses reference materials, provides links to other resources and websites, brings ideas forward, and keeps up to date on the latest news. The Coalition has established a recognition program to identify Ability First employers and Ability First champions. This identification will be used on advertising and job postings. The overall goal of the program is to give employers a sense of pride in supporting diversity in the workplace, and most of all, giving the people with disabilities in our community the opportunities they so richly deserve.